Hola, everyone. Welcome. Happy today's Friday for me here. I want to go through some stuff because run form is pretty important. I'm going to shut this door behind me. I probably should have done that before we started because then I don't have an echo. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about run form in 5 weeks and how you can improve it, because that's what we'll be doing here at midfootproject.com. That starts soon. So I'm going to go through our outline. I'll show this here real quick. So we go through, this is 23 pages long. This is one of the things, every week we send someone a video. We send the enrollees a video of training with exercises and drills and things, and we send them this PDF, which is 25-page guide, 23-page guide to how to improve stuff. So I want to walk through 5 weeks to improving your run form. So whether you work with us or you work with somebody else, or maybe you're going to do the DIY version, you can improve your run form because it makes a huge difference. I'm going to cover that first because we're going to go to the whiteboard and we're going to draw. So I've done this in the past. Where's my eraser? It's helpful if you're organized, unlike myself. But real quick, reason why this is important, why we push this, and because run form makes a difference. Every other sport knows this. If you've ever swam before, there's a right and a wrong way to swim. There's a right and wrong way to ski, which I found out this year. I was definitely doing the wrong way for a while. I'm still kind of doing the wrong way. But there's a right and a wrong way to do everything in life, and running is no different. You can't just put a pair of shoes on and run, but you're really leaving a lot of speed on the table and a lot of injuries in your back pocket. So how do you fix some of those things? And run form is a great way to do that. So traditionally, this is what we see with most runners. If I have a triangle, we're just going to say that's someone's pelvis, and then this is the leg, and then here's the other leg coming down. This is traditionally how most people run. They like to stretch that leg out to the front, and they like to bang into what we call the joints of the body. So here's the ground. When you contact the ground as a runner, and you're going to be entering into that ground, you're going to have the ground that's going to push back against you. Now, here's the thing that you need to realize, and I've been saying this for a while, is if this knee is perfectly straight, the runners I showed you in the past hovered around 177 degrees. What happens is the body's going to hit the ground, and this leg is going to act like a battering ram. Now, think about this for a second. Anyone who jumps and lands, they always shock absorb by allowing the knees to bend. This is not how someone would land if they were jumping, because what happens is the ground is going to come up, and it's going to push into this. What this results in is a huge spike in force really quick, and it's very damaging to the knee. Number one running injury is runner's knee, which is irritation in the knee joint itself. So we can protect that. It makes a huge difference. But you also look at the whole premise of this. You're trying to move down the road this way, and you have this contact point, but all of your weight is falling behind that contact point. It's very difficult to come over that. This is a great way to run if you want to get consistently injured or just run slower than what you're capable of, because it's the wrong way. It is the way that does not make the most sense. So what we want to do, I'm going to get my eraser here, is we want to promote a landing that's softer, something that decreases the load to the knee, but also doesn't tap the brakes. One of the big examples I put for this is when you run this way, it's like you're driving your car down the road and tapping your brakes 160 times a minute. Really jerky, really slow. So what we want to do is, if it's just a small change to this run form, it can make a huge difference. So we have the same setup, but what we want to teach the leg to do is come down, instead of 177 up here, 177 degrees up here, we look at, can we get to 90 at the foot and ankle with a perpendicular shin to the ground? Now what this does for you is it takes that force that you had before and it spreads it out over a longer period of time so that you don't have such a peak force so quickly. But it also, if you look at the way the ground's going to push up against this runner, is it's going to drive them up in the air. It's going to drive forward. It's not going to be this driving force backwards. So from a standpoint of two things, shock absorption, if you're afraid of the impact of running or what it could do to your knees or the rest of your body, this is an immediate way that you can change your run form so that you have less impact through your body. Okay, so this stuff has been proven in the research that to really benefit this bent knee landing, which is what we teach you in the Midfoot Project, will help out a lot with that. But also from a running speed standpoint, you're looking to conquer a new distance, you're looking to set a new PR, or you're just looking to finish. You'd like to get there as efficiently as possible. You don't have that huge driving force backwards. So with that being said, let's talk about what you need to do, right? You want to run midfoot, you want to figure this out. I'm going to walk you through our little guide here. And in week one, it's really geared towards prepping your anatomy. You actually can see that right in here. So you probably can't, but it says this first week is geared towards prepping your anatomy. So what we'll do is we'll open this baby up, and we have a couple exercises and drills that we give you, and the purpose of their first week. So this is 5 weeks to improving your run form. The first week is anatomy prep or muscle prep. You can call it whatever you want. We call it anatomy prep. Probably should go to the non-jargon and just say muscle prep. But we teach these different jumping jack matrix. It's tough to see on there. But one of the stretches we use is a dynamic calf stretch. Essentially what we're doing here through this whole process is preparation, prepare. And we really focus on, you don't need an eraser when you got your hand, calf muscles. So we're working on focusing on the calf muscles. When you run the new way, you're going to take a lot of the load that went from the bone, and you're going to transfer it into the muscle. Big mistake that people make, and this is why we do this in week 1, is they say, okay, I need to stop heel striking. I'm going to run midfoot. And their calves get so sore that it feels like someone hit them with a baseball bat. So what we want to make sure is that you're following some anatomy prep, getting the calf strong, getting the calves and your balance right. And that's the exercises we have in here. So we give a list in our guide. This is week 1, where it's very tough to see. I thought this would go better, but we have, the exercise list, and you just kind of check them off. But then down here, running midfoot at week 1. So if you're in week 1, you're going to prep the calf, and then we only have, let's see, the goal for week 1 is to start slow with only 30 to 60 seconds per mile midfoot strike. And that's really important. So I'm going to write it down here for you. So if you're interested, 30, 60 seconds per mile. Now here's what most people do wrong. Runners are type A. Runners don't have a lot of patience sometimes. So they say, if that's the right way I'm going to run, I'm going to run it. And they hurt themselves. We start off at 30 to 60 seconds per mile in our guide because you need time to feel the movement and to prep the calf. Not doing this is a huge problem. So we go through week 1. There's some more stuff in here. Let's go to week 2. So the first week when you're improving your run form, you're going to handle that. And then week 2, we just say in here, the second week is about building on the first week as we introduce additional muscles, what we call up the chain, which is the strong friends and helpers kind of stuff at the knee and hip. So let's go through that. So you're going to prep the anatomy, and then you're going to go into, let's just call it up the chain. And what you're going to do in this one is you're going to work on your glutes. Glutes and balance. Glutes and balance. So we give a couple exercises. You can see we got some rotational lunges there. And then we have a speed skater to balance. So we give those exercises plus a couple others, some planking and then some agility stuff in a ladder. And when we progress this, really the goal is to get big, strong muscle groups involved so they can help you out. Just to kind of go into this, you're actually going to be progressing your midfoot strike at this point. We generally tell people 60 to 120 seconds a minute. So really about maybe 20% of every mile will be used into midfoot striking. The key thing is knowing the drills, right? So how do you find your midfoot? What should you be feeling? That's what we cover in the course. And if you're interested in that, you can go to midfootproject.com and sign up. But homework for week 2, we have a bunch of exercises listed. These are great for injury prevention and improving your run form. And then we have this baby, which is the exact way that a very simple flow chart we've learned over the last 10 years to make sure that you follow the simple system. It's really a 10% rule where you're going to be running midfoot and transitioning back to heel strike back and forth, because you need to if you don't want to get hurt. So that's included in the guide. But let's move on to week 3. So you're building your midfoot, working on some hip strength. Let's talk about level 3 here. All right, so in week 3, oh, great. This is a good one. So week 3 is the start. We start to address common problems with heel strikers. So I'm going to walk you through those common problems so that when you get to week 3, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm trying not to do. We want to make sure that you're hitting these main issues. So 3 is fix errors. Let me walk you through the big errors that people do. if you're interested, go to if you go to the app Coach's Eye, you can get it right on your smartphone. We use this all the time in the clinic, and we have our runners do it in this program. You can actually film yourself, or have a spouse or a child film you while you're running, just to see if you have these errors. Now, the two main errors that I see most often, let's go down to three. The first one is they continue to heel strike. So I'll just make a note, Adam. I'm going to run out of room. I didn't plan this space well. The first one is people continue to heel strike. So you'll see that on the app. You can actually go frame by frame and see what it looks like. That's pretty easy to identify. The toes are pulled up, the knee is straight, and you're banging out way in front of your center of mass, right? So the second thing is people who, here's my leg, they like to straighten it all the way out and then pull it underneath them. That extra straightening and pull is really wasted energy. So what you'll see on the video when you use the Coach's Eye app is you'll see your whole leg swing out straight and then tuck back underneath you to land. Now that's a common error that we see all the time that we saw over the last 10 years working with runners. And the simple fix is just to learn how to land and get that shin as it swings through to stop it, pause, wait, and come to the ground. Now that's the drills that we'll include to teach people how to do that with the Midfoot Project, but that's the other thing to look for. And finally, the last thing to look for in week 3 when you're trying to fix some errors because you've been running midfoot a little bit, you're progressing, you want to make sure you're doing it right. So in that the final error that we see is people completely land on their toes. And when they land on their toes, they completely overload their calf. And when you overload the calf, your body's essentially like you're running on a diving board. So think about it for a minute. You run to the end of the diving board, you jump on the end. That's your toe landing, and then it launches you up into the air. So when you get that launch is very inefficient, way overloads the Achilles tendon, and it'll get you hurt. So we got to make sure on number 3 that we're fixing errors. Let's see what we talk about in the guide here. So we work on a little bit of treadmill leaning and some run in place stuff here. Let's see what else we got. We progress some of the balance exercises for people, and we encourage some trail running. So luckily the weather's about to break, so you can get some trail running in here. So that's week 3. You continue to progress your midfoot. You're fixing errors. You're just learning. We got a little quiz here for everybody. I'm actually going to jump to week 5 here because I'm running out of time. Week 5 is how to... I'm gonna write this as 3A, so it doesn't, but it's really week 5. So in week 5, what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be looking at how do you run midfoot at every pace, midfoot every pace. Because what you're gonna find, and what we have found with working with runners, is when they start to run midfoot, they tend to skyrocket their cadence, and they have this really high turnover, right? And the turnover just spins. And what you need to do is you need to learn to open your stride back up. We never preach cadence in Midfoot Project because cadence is a byproduct of your run form. So what you need to learn how to do, let's see what we got here as a drill, is you need to, we explain this kind of on the treadmill in the course where we actually take you through this, but we're gonna have you learn how to do some striders. We use striders quite a bit in the Midfoot Project. And you'll actually learn how to go through a strider, how to open that stride back up, because here's the thing. Midfoot strike should be carried throughout every pace. You shouldn't be running marathon pace a different way than your easy pace or recovery pace. We talk about that. And then we teach you how when you're going to kick it on, when you want to put a move in the race, you want to sprint towards the finish line, you want to run hard when you're tired, we'll teach you how to do those pieces as well, because that is going to be an important part. So this is all as you go through from 1 to 3A, which is really week 5. Week 4 is missing in here because I'm running out of time. But the progression here is you're constantly building your midfoot throughout 5 weeks. You need it. You need to take your time with it because it will overload your calves and really promote injury. So if you're interested in joining us, we'll be starting here soon. We've got a great group of runners. It's midfootproject.com, where you're gonna work with myself and Pat O'Connor. We're gonna personally lead you through this whole system we figured out over the last 10 years, where we have helping people with their run form. We'd love to have you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Or if you know someone that maybe needs their run form looked at, go ahead and tag them in this post as well. Hope everyone has a great day, and midfootproject.com before we close out registration soon. All right, bye guys.